Hey there, how you doing? Charlie. Oh, hang on a second. I'm just going to plug my charger in. I'm going to run out of charge the minute I press the button. And right, so I don't think that's really helped the YouTube algorithms. So let me get back into it again. So hey there, how you doing? Charlie Winters here with horse racing and football selections for Good Friday, Friday the 18th of April. Well, we're back for today and we'll be back for Saturday. I'm not sure about Sunday. I'm going to look at the racing over the bank holiday. Whew. So let's get into it. Let's not mess around. I tell you what I do like. I originally clicked on today's meeting yesterday, looked at the card because I actually forgot. I was thinking it was Saturday because I were off, or would have been Saturday. And I thought, three all-weather meters. I thought, nah, I'm all right. So I had a quick look this morning. I thought, cracking prize money. Look at size at fields. So I had a quick look around. And I shall tell you what I'm looking at today. So there are quite a few horses that I fancy. There were several horses that I fancy more than the ones I've bagged, but I cannot have them with wide draws in big fields at Lingfield. I might live to regret it, but what do they say? You pay your money, take your choice, or take your chance, whatever it is. So yeah, so this is what I've gone for. Um, so I've gone for a Goliath, and I'm not expecting anybody else to put this bet on, and I'm not really telling you to or asking you to. I would more advise you to look at the selections and see if you fancy them, and if you do, include them because you want to include them in your bet. If you don't, then that's fine. Just a quick heads up, you can see the price of the first one. I had to take the price to put the bet on because Sky Bet wouldn't let me leave all the prices to SP because they were scared. Um, so yeah, the first one, each way Goliath of horses that don't get me wrong, it's a tricky meeting, but there are so many good horses or horses in form that are huge prices because they're stepping up in class. As we've seen in the past with the likes of, well, probably more recently, but your Clyde Brittons in the past, not scared to put horses running well in low class, but horses with potential running in group races that can sneak a place or even win one. So I've gone for that bit of a theme because on the all weather, as we're well aware, draw bias is quite important. So this meeting today hasn't just cropped up from nowhere. There'll be a lot of trainers that are planning for this meeting because they've seen the prize money. You've got horses rated 60 something competing for prize money of 77,000. These horses normally run for cash that's 4 to 5 grand, 4 to 5, not 45. So this is their jackpot day. Owners must be absolutely lapping it up. So what they'll be doing is they'd have known for the last 3 months that we need to get a horse ready. There are ways of getting horses ready. You run them over inadequate distances. You also change the tactics on the horse. You also let's say so obviously we're in April now. Let's say in January, February, you'll also, if you're drawn poorly, you may change the tactics, but you also may run to the draw. As in, if you're drawn 12 of 12 at Lingfield, and I can't remember what distances. Let's say it's 7 furlongs, and the bend comes up quick. I've seen it so many times recently, and I'm sure you have. And I've seen it with a certain trainer. I'm not going to mention the trainer because I don't think get in trouble. But there's a certain trainer that if his horses are drawn wide, I've seen the horses sticking out wide. In fact, I've seen several. In fact, I'll name the trainer. I've seen some. I'm not saying they've done anything wrong, but I've seen many of Scott Dixon's horses drawn wide, stay out wide, stay five wide, and at one point, I know in a race at Ascot, I think it was, and this is not tied in with Scott Dixon, but a race at Ascot, they actually worked out how much extra distance the horse had covered by racing wide to racing on the rail. And for some reason, I don't quote me, but I'm going to chuck 18 yard out. I don't know quite where I got that from, but I seem to remember. So just by running wide, you are giving yourself absolutely no chance. You're creating your own handicap, even if it was a maiden and everything was officially rated the same. If you're drawn five wide, you're creating your own handicap against you. So and the other one, and I did benefit from this one time, but it was a couple of years back now. It was a Jamie Osborne horse that was regularly racing wide, like crazy wide, but also it used to it's raced in the rear, but also it used to race prominently. And I remember with a mile to go, it kicked for home over something like a 2 mile race. And I'm thinking, well, what they're doing this for? Because they can't really, you can't always do that. So yeah, so the final bet, as I was saying, is I've gone for horses that have met trouble in running, but are big prices. There's one that hasn't met trouble in running. I'll tell you what the four are. One of the horses is by Simon Crisford, and it's ran a good race, and it's too big a price. There's a second horse that I think the last three times it said raced wide, and some of the times it's actually ran well. But as I said before, it's given too much ground away. It's still got no chance. So how would it have ran if it was on the inside, hugging the rail? Maybe 18 yard better. I'm just saying. And two of the horses, one of them is a trainer that will see this prize money, and he comes from a family that will want that prize money. And the other one is a trainer that I can't remember now, but it doesn't matter. But it's another. In fact, I tell you what it is. It's John Wainwright. It's another horse that has been running in £4,000 races, stepped up to a £77,000 race, paying first five, and it actually keeps meeting trouble, which I'm fine with, because as long as it doesn't meet trouble today. So let me get into it. So the first bet is it's a 5p each way Goliath. There's no singles. I'm just taking the risk. I've not had a bet for a while, so I'm having a punt. So the first selection is Party Island at 17-2. It's in the 130 at Lingfield, paying 5 places instead of 4. I've taken the price because it wouldn't let me put the bet on it unless I took two of the prices. So I've tried to go for the two horses where I think it's a reasonable price. I think it's a reasonable price, but already I believe it's 10-1. So this horse, ridden by George Bass, it's an apprentice race. I forgot George Bass was even an apprentice still. So this horse, there was horses that I fancied in this race. There was a couple, but they were drawn very wide. I think it was something like 12 and 16. This horse, I believe it's drawn something like 4 or 8. This is off the top of my head. It's a competitive draw. It's a draw that you can do something about. It can race prominently. I'm not fussed. It just needs to be not sat last. This horse won a race, a Class 4, this time last year. I think it actually ran in this race last year, but it won the week after. Well, hopefully they're not targeting the week after this time round. They're targeting this race. There's a lot of money priced at stake. Dennis Coakley, very shrewd trainer in my opinion, very smart trainer. And don't know what it looks like. I ain't got a clue. But when I've seen his horses, I've also seen his horses, or a very few amount of horses. There was one run at the Cheltenham meeting one time, and I don't know if it won. It was like something like one of the Martin Pipe hurdles, and it ran an absolute cracker. So I think he can get horses ready. Party Island at 17-2. The next selection is Two Coat Salamanca. I've left the price in the 150 at Newcastle, 5 places instead of 3. This horse, in fact, I'm not sure of the trip actually. Let me just double check the trip. Yeah, it's back to 6 furlong. So this horse, Tuca Salamanca, it's been running over 7 furlong, but it's been absolutely tanking over 7 furlong, as in like you can see it can go quicker if it needs to. Well, it's being dropped back in distance. So I think 6 furlong could suit. It's in the form of its life. The last run was disappointing, but I'm not bothered about that because they kept stepping up in distance, and I think they found out that it's got loads of speed and it doesn't want to go up in distance. It wants to come back down. Sometimes it's like the 1,000, 2,000 guineas. You get horses that are trying a mile out where they think they'll get it. They're really class horses. I'm not saying this is a class horse; it's a good horse, and then you find out in the end they don't quite stay the Guinness trip, and then they turn into ridiculously good sprinters some of the time. So this horse, I believe, over a stiff 6 furlong when it's been running over 7 will be absolutely fine for it. I think it's currently 18-1. That's a crazy price for the horse that has been regularly winning and only disappointed last time when maybe it didn't stay and it was odds on for the race. So I am also a fan of PJ McDonald as well. I think he's a really good jockey. Just trying to remember who the first jockey is. So yeah, I'm quite happy, definitely quite happy with the first two jockeys. Right, try to remember this one. So the next selection is Silent Age. I've left the price in the 2 at Lingfield, 5 places instead of 3. Yeah. So just give me 1 second. I'm not going to show you. I'm just going to quick remind myself about the horse. So Ian Williams, anyway, when there's a lot of prize money, as I've said in the past relentlessly, when there's a lot of money at stake, you need him on your side, and he's got quite a few runners today at this meeting and other meetings. So yeah, so this horse, in fact, I will show you. There you go. So this horse originally started out at Charlie Appleby. Decent horse. Not quite why they got rid of it, but it was gelded before its debut, 1-2, and then he just plateaued out of it. Went to Ian Williams, ran at Kempton, as you can see, not beaten far, at 25-1. It's now off a mark of 84. So if you go back to the Charlie Appleby, the last race for Charlie Appleby, it was a class 3. It was 11-2. It came halfway through the field, not beaten far, 5 lengths. It ran off of 8-9 and did a racing post rating of 9-1. If it runs close to that, it's going to be competitive today. Don't get me wrong, the price of it needs to be competitive because it's what I think it was 8-1 when I looked. So if we go to the Ian Williams form, 25-1, never quite sure. It's like I think sometimes they know it's not going to be involved because there's no way I would. If I was the bookmaker, there's no way I would give 25-1 about a horse that comes from Charlie Appleby to Ian Williams, who's shrewd in handicaps. Maybe the fact that it's no, forget that because the next race contradicts it. So next race, 26 grand, only beaten 3 lengths. I don't know if you can see this, but it was led, and then it led anyway. In touch. So the final race was in March. Mr. Blue, it ran incredible. Mr. Blue is running absolutely out of his skin. So this horse, Silent Age, likes to race prominently. I think that's the best thing today. Although I have picked horses that do come from mid division, but I do believe that this horse, it won't be too far away. Hopefully, Kieran Fallon can ride him to sleep, and it can run a good race. I think it's about 8 or 10-1. I might be wrong, but there you go. It's Silent Age in the 2 at Lingfield. 5 places instead of 3. I'm just going to grab a quick drink. Sorry, I'm not going to put the kettle on. I'm just going to have a drink. Oh, that was freezing. So, the man of the moment, pretty much, James Owen. So it's Pasha. First time out for James Owen. James Owen, this is huge prize money, by the way. I think it's 33 grand a race at Newcastle and 77 grand a race at Lingfield, or the other way around. Like it makes any difference to me, it doesn't matter. But Pasha, it's the first run for the owners and for James Owen since leaving. Once again, I want to make sure I tell you right. So 225 at Newcastle. It's hard to remember all this. I picked 11 horses. Just give me a second. So Pasha, now trained by James Owen, ridden by Sean Bowen. It left the Paul and Oliver Cole stable. So it's rated 77. It was running roughly to that form anyway, in and out. It was very inconsistent. It's now left that stable. And we all know what can happen. Just give me 1 second. I need to just double check. Share this tab. Right, yeah. So I'm purely going for the fact that how good a form James Owen is stable. I'm also going for, I think he bought it on something like, what was it, the 12th of April? I know he couldn't really get a run into it, but I'm never too sure about these dates when they actually got these horses. Did they get it before but didn't register it until then? I don't know. I don't know how the date on the form works when it comes to swapping trainers and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know what to say about it, really. I just think it's dangerous. James Owen has done well. We're back to him with Destinado the other Saturday when it won at Doncaster. We're 16-1. So Pasha in the 225 at Newcastle, 4 places instead of 3. The next selection is a horse that's running well. It's no big surprise. I think it's second favourite. Might be 11 to 2. It's Blueprints in the 240 at Lingfield, 4 places instead of 3. David Evans and Finley Marsh. The vast majority of horses that I've picked in this bet are also drawn well. Horse I do like that is interesting is Valiant Force. And what I did say in my last video is I would keep on the right, although the horse didn't run well the day when I advised it, but keep on the right side of Ammo Racing in handicaps. Um, that's just my opinion. So Valiant Force is very interesting. I've took the price at 13 to 2, not because I wanted, because I had to. In the 3 o'clock at Newcastle, 5 places instead of 3. So this horse, it's been running over 5 furlongs and 6 furlongs for what? However, since it started racing. In its last run, it was stepped up to a mile. I think it was it 1 to 6, 1 to 4 price. I think they want to see if it stayed a mile. Just give me 1 second. I need to just double check something. Yeah. So David Egan rode it, I believe, that day. So Valiant Force, it's been running over 5 and 6 furlongs all the time. It ran over a mile in a race where it was never going to be threatened. It was purely to see, did it stay the trip? It ran at Dundalk and it won easy. They definitely tested it to see if it stayed the trip. It looked like it did. Will they go to the front this time around? I don't know. It's back over a mile in a much more competitive race. 5 places. It's the best horse in the race. So if it actually wants a mile rather than the 5 and 6 furlongs, we've got a very well handicapped horse and a very classy horse on our side. And I think it's got a good chance. I did say keep an eye on the Ammo Racing Limited owners or owner, whatever you want to call it, or yeah. And I can't go against that really. So since I've advised that, I advised one before this, and it finished well beaten. I think it was in a group race, so it wasn't really a handicap. The next selection is Silky Wilkie in the 3:15 at Lingfield, 4 places instead of 3. This is a horse recently that did exactly what I said about race wide and stuck wide, and it must have used too much petrol that day. Well, this time it's drawn 4. I think it's got a chance. I never like it in these competitive races when that Midland Racing, which this horse represents, have got 3 in the race. I always think that this could well be there to set it up for something else. So have a look for yourself, Silky Wilkie. It basically is prominent or leads. The best races I've seen it run is when it goes straight to the front and sets a cracking pace. Will it do that? I don't know. But Sam Fielding isn't on board today. I think it's Sam James or Shane Gray. In fact, why do I keep saying I think? Right, it's Sam James. And finally, right, this is a trainer that I mentioned about. He's seen the prize money. It's a horse that's running well. It's also a horse that occasionally gets into a bit of trouble. And it's a Tim Easterby trained 5,000 to 1. It's not a big outsider. His horse has got a realistic chance. I think it's about 9s or 10s. So 5,000 to 1. I've left the price in the 3:35 at Newcastle, 5 places instead of 3. Right, the next bet is it's a bet where the big prices and probably the more exciting bet from behind. Well, it won't be exciting if the first 2 win in the Goliath, but we'll see. So the next bet is it's a 20 pence each way, lucky 15, and 50p each way singles takes it to a tenner. So the first selection, which I've mentioned already, is Don. Well, I've mentioned the trainer already. Don Pacifico. Left the price. It's currently 18 to 1. I have done quite well with the Simon Crisford train horses in the past, especially the big price ones, because I do think he's a very classy trainer. And when you see him with these horses that, and this isn't one of them, when you see him with horses that are that have got a low official rating, I'm thinking, what is that horse doing with him? So I tend to like horses that might be rated around 60, backing them when it's this training, because I'm thinking that I think he used to be. Did he used to be the Simon Crisford? Did he used to be the Godolphin racing manager or something like that. So that's what it is. It used to be. So what's he doing with 60 rated horses? Does he really need them? Anyway, Don Pacifico in the 150 at Newcastle, 5 places instead of 3. It ran behind another one of his runners in this race, a James Tate trained horse, which I can't quite remember at this moment in time, which you don't need to know. In fact, it was some Yaman, hello Zaman, something like that. Yeah, I don't know. Doesn't matter. It was just beaten by it, and it was giving it £2 that day. It's now receiving £2, which that doesn't mean a great deal to me. It just tells me that more favourable terms. But if that, I always say it doesn't matter how much weight you're receiving. If you're receiving a lot more weight than you were last time, if you're stuck in trouble, it means nothing. If you can't get a run and that horse has gone clear, it means nothing. Yeah, you could be given £2 in a race a month ago and then receiving a stone a month later. If you're stuck in trouble or drawn 12 of 12 and are having to travel 18 yards further during the race, it makes not the jot, in my opinion. But I do understand where people are going with the in maybe in smaller races where or even if you're guaranteed a certain pace and everything is equal to a degree, you might be that might pay off. But anyway, I'm waffling now. Second selection is very interesting horse. So this has met so much trouble in its last few races. It's scary. So the horse is called Biplane. It's 80-1, but I've left the price in the 225 at Newcastle, 4 places instead of 3. And I'm going to go to this race now. So it's in the same race as Pasture. So here is Biplane. So I'm going to open it up. I don't think you can see the next bit, so I'm going to talk you through. So I'm going to hover over it. I don't think it shows up on the video. So let me just double check one thing. So this race is 7 furlong at Newcastle, and it's drawn 2. I'd have preferred a high draw, but you never quite know with the draw at Newcastle. But all its form is pretty much at Newcastle. Yeah. So it won there. It won a Class 5 race. Keen hold in touch. Disputed lead. Pushed along inside final furlong. Official rated 65. It did a race post rating of 75. So it's £4 higher today. So then it ran off the exact same mark and ran an absolute cracker at Lingfield. Held up rear. Interesting. So now all of a sudden, well, I can understand it's been stepped up in class, but Newcastle. So this race held up in rear, headway 3 out, not clear 1 out, nudged out, final furlong, not recover. Jockey said Mayor was denied a clear run, final furlong. Okay. Next race, Newcastle, 6 furlong. In rear, waiting for room, over 2 out. Headway inside final furlong, nearest finish. Next race, Southwell. In rear, headway from over 1 furlong out, no impression. But that was a different course. That was Southwell. Maybe it doesn't stay 7 furlong at Southwell because I don't know. I've just completely made that up. Maybe it was I don't know. I'm just trying to look for an angle. This is an angle of an 8-1. It's probably going to come last, but I'm trying to make a case for it because I think there is a case for some big prices sneaking a frame. I wonder if it actually. What were we in April? So so as you can see there, it doesn't mean too much, but what was that, 4 years ago? Just a bit less than 4 years ago. It used to run regularly over 7 furlongs to a mile, but recently it's quite interesting that is because have they been, you could say have they been targeting this race because let's not forget this horse could earn pretty much 3.5 times it's ever earned today. Well, let's say three times it's ever earned if it wins this race today. John Wainwright part owns this horse, as you can see, with Peter Clark. I'm being honest, it's probably not going to win, but these guys are probably dreaming, hoping it does. Well, so it used to be a 7 furlong regular performer, but it dropped back to 6. Well, as you're getting older, you normally step up in distance, but so it's over 6 furlong. This horse could be absolutely flying at the moment, but it's running over an inadequate 6 furlong. And then up to 7 furlong today, and don't get wrong, in that race, yeah. So then Paul Mulrennan's been riding it regularly. He's not on it today, and I haven't even looked what he's riding in the race, if he is riding in the race. But then all of a sudden, they've got Tom Keeley-Marshall taking another 5 off. So technically, it's an okay jockey. Technically, it's running off 64. So it's a pound lower than when it ran at Newcastle. that day, and I just think this horse, because if let's just think, if there's no pace, it could turn into a sprint, or if there's a pace collapse, anything could come from behind. So 80 to 1 is a crazy price in my opinion. The third selection is Helm Rock. So this horse I can tell you all about. Well, not all about it. I can tell you why I picked it. Helm Rock in the 240 at Lingfield, 4 places instead of 3. This is the horse that has raced wide in the last 3 times. I'm just to double check what its draw is. So this horse has been in the car park for the last 3 times. As I said, if you're in the car park or running along the outside rail, you're travelling much further than you need to. Helm Rock, it's drawn 12 of 12, which wasn't ideal, but it's the price I've gone for. So hopefully in this race, let's double check 1 second. You don't need to see all this. I should tell you. Yeah, so this horse generally races in the rear. So I'm more than happy with Billy Loughnane holding this horse in the rear. And dropping in from draw 12. It's a big price. I think it's 18s or 20s, and I think it's got a right chance. And another very interesting horse. So if you only want two of my bigger price horses, I'd have to say Biplane and the Caltonian are extremely interesting. So the Caltonian is the next horse in the 335 at Newcastle, paying 5 places instead of 3. This horse was winning for fun. What were it, last year before? He ran an absolute cracker last time. All I'm going for this time around is the fact that it's just run into form. It's a small stable in Linda Perrott. They know what they've got, and they're probably excited, thinking we've got an all-weather horse and we've got half a chance. But I think it's about 20s as well. Just a quick going back to Biplane, I must let you know that it's also £10 out of that handicap, which makes it awkward. But horses don't know that. If it's a slow pace, that makes no difference whatsoever. If it's a too fast a pace, it makes no difference whatsoever. It just means that it's up against it. Well, it should be carrying £10 less than it is, or 10 points less. Yeah, £10, whatever. So the football bet. So at this moment in time, everybody's going, doof, doof, doof. Everybody's turning off. So it's the same teams. So as you can see, there's 3. I've put 3 on today. So what I've had is, it's 3 bets. I've gone for the old traditional style that I used to have, but I've reduced it to 2 matches instead of 3. But I've gone for a £7 double over 2.5 goal, over 2.5 goal double. I've gone for a £2.30 only because I've got a spare 30p in my account. So £2.30p over 3.5 goal double, and a £1 over 4.5 goal double. I got rid of that recently because it very rarely comes in, obviously. But so the matches are, I'm going to keep it brief. So Grimsby versus Swindon. Grimsby score a lot and concede a lot. Swindon score a lot, but also concede a lot. So the next the next match is Salford and Accrington. I do believe Accrington score an average amount, but they also concede quite a few. Salford, it's just anything can happen. They're a bit like the MK Dons. There's generally goals in their matches. I don't want to tempt fate, so but well, I have done already. So that is Good Friday's bet. So if you can do me a favour, you may not be here at this point. You may have switched off after the first selection or the minute I said Goliath. If you are still here, just put Goliath in the comments. I bet there's nobody watching at this actual point. But there's only me watching, actually, to be fair. Anyway, I wish you the very best of luck. Charlie Winters, over and out. Cheers, mate.